drives cars, he stares into cares. From dry to La La Land, holds our hearts in his hand. And every road leaves his mark. Ryan Gosling lights up the dark.
Hello and welcome to Good Boys Gone Bland, Season 10, Episode 1, The Notebook. I'm your co-host, Allie.
I'm your co-host, Ryan.
Hello, it's me, Jace. Also
Jace,
a co-host.
Okay.
That really confused me, James. You can't just switch it up 10 seasons in, giving me new energy. But you know what? I think it's fitting because, folks, we are dawning on a new age today. We have closed the garage, as we said in our State of the Podcast episode, and we have opened a new portion of the movie mansion that we probably need to decide a name on. But Jace, what are we doing this season? What have you done?
Oh God, what was
You
the
could
jingle? He's just Ken. Ryan Gosling for season 10.
Yeah, that's good. Jace.
Something else stolen from Barbie.
Yeah, I'll edit it to sound good. That was great, Jace.
I'll sing it and I'll put it over your voice.
Yeah, we're doing Ryan Gosling, as Jace said, and I want to get ahead of this. All right, we decided this before the Oscar scandal with Ryan Gosling. Jace, you had some premonition. You felt a rippling in the force.
Mm-hmm.
And then you decided to do Ryan Gosling exactly 1 week before he was nominated for Best Supporting Actor.
Listen, I saw Barbie, and you know.
Yeah. But guys, I wanted to squash this right at the get. So what are we calling this season? We talked about it a little bit in State of the Podcast. We need to establish an alliterative theme for Ryan Gosling. Okay, I know we can't do, Ryan's something. I think we should do Gosling's something because everyone's going to think our Ryan's Ryan Gosling.
I think someone had said Gosling's Garden.
I said Gosling's Garden. I want that to be clear. Gosling's Golf Course.
Does he seem like a golfer?
Yeah, he's not that kind of guy.
Wasn't he in Bagger Vance? I don't know.
I don't think so. Plus, only 3 people have ever seen Bagger Vance.
That's Jace. Remember we found a DVD copy of The Legend of Bagger Vance? We were talking about it for like an hour.
It was in his basement.
We were like, what the fuck is this movie, Jace? It had a great cast. We were like, what is this?
I don't even remember The Legend of Bagger Vance. Oh.
Yeah, You had a DVD copy of it like sitting on your counter. I was like, what is this, Jace? Okay, to venture out a little bit. Gosling's Gopher Hole.
And the idea is that we're trapped in a gopher hole?
Yeah, we're like, where are you, you little rascal? And we dug in, and we can't get out. We'll put a pin in it.
Gosling's gourd? We're stuck in a big giant pumpkin.
And a huge gourd. I like that.
I think James and the Giant
Gosling's gazebo.
Oh, on the lake. We have a little pond out back.
Just like this movie.
Gosling's gold mine.
Oh.
I do think that part of the issue with having a long name
right
is that it will take up the majority of the space on our episode listings.
Just like Haunted Holiday Hotel completely fucked up our titles.
So perhaps we should do Gauze. G-O-Z.
Gauze?
Gauze's Garden.
If we wrote Gauze's Gopher Hole, I feel like people would have no idea what we're watching for this season.
Well,
is it your fault that you made it the Gopher Hole or that we shortened it to Gauze?
Right. I just picked one. That was the best one. We can do, I feel like Gauze's Garden is, I don't know. I don't like gauze. I just, for some reason, the shortening of it feels gross in my mouth. I don't like it.
Just give me an ick.
Gosling's Garden, I think, is, in my opinion, still the best one.
Well, so then every week we have to dig up some We have to dig up some old DVDs that have been our crops.
Yeah. No, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about we'll be picking the fruits that are the movies. We'll pick. We're stuck in a greenhouse.
We're gonna forget about this until season 10. It doesn't matter.
No,
it's
Jace,
just the fucking title.
People care about 2 things on this show: the fiction that we create and our great improv. All right,
true.
That's the 2 things we have to keep consistent. Otherwise, we'll lose everybody.
Well, we've already lost a few of our new listeners if someone jumped in to see Ryan Gosling.
Fellas, can you smell that? It smells like it just rained and the sun's coming out from behind the clouds. Should we step out of the garage?
Distinctive smell.
Yeah, let's step out of the garage, man. Oh, I'm so hungry. I could use some lettuce. Oh.
Whoa.
Well, howdy.
Oh, no. No, not this guy again.
Oh.
You must be my new neighbors.
Yeah.
I just moved into that plot of land next door.
Why do you have a shotgun?
Oh, there's gophers.
Oh.
I got this big problem, and I'm going away for the weekend. Well, actually, about 10 days.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if you gentlemen might come next door and help me tend up my garden. Matter of fact, if you tend my garden for 10 days, I'll give you the deed to the land.
Oh, shit. Okay. Land is going for a pretty high price nowadays. Ryan, are you in? Are you in for this?
Yeah, man, that sounds great. I've never met him before. I have no idea what's going on.
How's the house?
Oh, the house, you don't want the house worth nothing. The foundation is rotten. We got all these gopher holes. They're full of gold, though.
Full of gold. Ryan, can you talk to this guy about the gold and the gopher holes? You're a resident lawyer.
So
I just need,
I have a question. Is there a way to access these subterranean, the subterranean maze? Oh, yeah. In the garden, there's, if you dig a little deep down there, you'll come up on some gophers, but you better be careful. Sometimes the tunnels, they cave in. And I've been trapped down there, but what I did was I routed electricity down most of the gopher holes, and I set up DVD players every few chambers. So that if I get caved in and I get trapped, I could watch a movie.
Do the gophers watch the movies?
There's been inconclusive evidence, but my neighbor, the other neighbor, is writing the paper on it.
I'm hitting abort. I'm hitting abort right now. Okay, folks, and now you know why we're in this garden, and now it's not confusing. So we got that out of the way.
Our neighbor is gonna give us the deed to the land if we stay there for 10 days
and
tend the garden.
And watch Ryan Gosling.
So is this
movies.
a land grab scheme by us to steal adjacent land next to our mansion?
Next to the mansion. Yeah, that's what we're doing.
That's
and
smart.
Expand.
Okay.
Yeah, and if we watch 10 movies, we'll get the plot of land. Great, we've done it. I don't know why they're Ryan Gosling movies. I think he's just a fan.
Yeah, I don't know why everything over there started with a G. Maybe to provide us a little bit of flexibility in the future if we want to, change up the theme a little bit.
That's true. Great. Well, what do you guys... we always talk about the meters. We can name the meter, but I also want to know what you guys think of Ryan Gosling. What's a Ryan Gosling movie? What does he bring to movies? What's a stereotype? Can we give an impression? Like, what's the flavor? We always like to establish the flavor early on.
Quiet intensity.
Yeah, he's very socially awkward. He always has weird scenes where he's staring at the person and not really giving much in terms of like social interaction. I think he sings in a lot of movies. I think that's going to be on my meter.
What?
He sings. He sings in a couple of them.
He kind of does, yeah.
I'm just thinking of La La Land. That's it.
And this one, and Barbie.
He sings in this movie,
and she
He's in a
calls him a
band.
bad singer. So, realistically,
he screams. I think he has at least one good scream, I think, per movie, and I think it's great. I think that's going to be in there.
I think his non-verbal reactions. So he usually does this thing where somebody does something that's not cool, or just kind of weird, and he just kind of he pauses almost like a Jimism where it looks at the camera, but not quite.
Yeah.
And then he shakes his head, kind of just does weird, I don't know what to say, and saying something would be less cool than just showing you I disapprove.
He's aloof, and he kind of gives facial reactions.
Right.
Folks, you can't see our facial reactions, but we're kind of doing it right now, and you can probably feel the energy through your speakers. We all just did it. I think there's a shirtless scene. I think you gotta have it in a Ryan Gosling movie. I think there's a lot of shirtless scenes. He's got a great body. He's got to show it off. Takes place in L.A. I think he's in L.A. in a lot of movies.
Oh.
Interesting. I was going to say he gives a Midwest vibe.
I think his vibe is Midwest, but there's a lot of movies where it's a Los Angeles movie.
What about him being the lower class counterpart to someone else?
Okay. So he's kind of on the back foot. He's like in Drive, he's like the driver.
I haven't seen that
guy.
movie yet.
Didn't you watch it and you texted us and you said I saw Drive?
Yeah, that did happen.
Okay. Interesting conversation.
I'm glad I'm keeping it in. I'm keeping it in.
Yeah, because we'll talk about this in this movie, but he's the small town boy.
Just a
I
small
was thinking
town.
La La Land, where he's kind of the down on his luck.
He's definitely the obviously, relationships are just, at the heart of movies, but he's really like relationship dynamics, I feel, are like a focal point of his acting in a weird way more than other people. Like Matthew McConaughey is a sexy dude that's like dating everyone. Ryan Gosling has a weird thing about the relationships in his movies.
Jace, I agree, because I wrote down in my note, unrequited love, because I think his relationships often don't work out. And I think that's kind of like a central conflict to his character sometimes. I think like he doesn't always like end up with the partner he wants to. I think things don't work out.
And they're not really rom-coms. They're more rom-droms.
Yeah, I think we're building a good archetype. Can we just really quick and
not a lot of faction movies.
Thank God. Can we quickly do a Ryan Gosling impression each? I just want to see if we can do. It's hard. This is a hard one. I was watching videos. I don't know if I can get there.
I wasn't watching videos. This is bullshit.
Wait,
you can't.
You were watching videos?
You watched a movie. You watched a movie with him in it.
You did that too. Then you did extra credit.
Impressions. Wait, so are you kidding me? All my impressions, and all my improv is just fresh off the dome, no prep, coming in here.
Part of
and then you're actually like getting tips and stuff.
Oh no! I'm watching the actor.
It makes me think so much less.
I'm watching the actor. I'm not watching other guys do an impression.
Oh, I thought that's what you said. I thought
No, come on. All right.
I took this online Ryan Gosling impression class.
I took a master class of Ryan Gosling impressions, taught by Patrick Stewart. I feel like he's a little high.
Was he impressionable?
I think he is, because he has a voice. I think he goes a little up here, and then it's a little. I feel like it's a little like he has a little like I don't hold a gun, I drive. Sounds like a little baby said that.
I feel like he would have a flat face.
Okay.
I don't know that I can do the flat face. I literally think
he doesn't smile a lot. Yeah.
Make your chin long. I think it's easier to talk like him. What do you want? What? It's terrible.
Hey, everybody.
What do you want? What do you want?
Okay, that's not bad.
But then he would walk away, and then he would look like
yeah,
and then he'd get stern again for a second. He'd be like,
yeah,
I'm not giving up.
Yeah, and he like
not now.
Starts a sentence and
not ever
starts it to make it look like he's thinking through his words.
Yeah,
and he's trying to be thoughtful.
Hi, Barbie.
I feel like he's not that high.
I know he's not that high.
You're going pretty high.
I think I'm doing Tom Holland.
I feel like he has a really normal voice compared
it's kind of smoky, and I can't do the smoky voice at all.
What are you doing here?
When did he say that?
If I had to pick somebody to talk in a normal voice, it would be him, because it's the rest of the it's the whole package for the impression.
I think it is. It's a vibe. He does a lot of physical. I think you could do a physical impression of him, because I think he's a very physical actor. Okay, well, let's go in a circle and do all our physical impressions, and just for the listener to kind of know what we're doing. So I'm like super ripped, and I'm like kind of like walking, and you can't really like tell what I'm thinking right now. But I kind of look towards the camera, and I kind of just like smile a little bit with my little tiny mouth.
He does have a tiny mouth.
I'm standing 5 feet away from you, and my face is flat, and then I smile, and then I walk up and I touch your face.
Thanks, Ryan. All right, third Ryan, what do you want to do?
I'm standing a lot further away, maybe with both my hands on my hips.
Yeah.
And then I go I kind of huff and shake my head, and I go really quickly, raise my hands and put them back down.
Oh, man.
It's good. Oh,
that was tears. Damn.
I did read that Ryan Gosling, he said he intentionally channels Gene Wilder. Like, that's his actor, god. Is that can we use that for, think about Willy Wonka.
Gene Wilder is always underselling the joke.
I think that's what Ryan does too. I think he lets it breathe.
There's something about not trying to be funny, like a character who's not trying to be funny, they're just being themselves.
Yeah.
But I feel like Ryan Gosling and Gene Wilder kind of know they're being funny, but they still try to undersell it. They try and be too cool to laugh at their own jokes, but they're making jokes.
Was Gene Wilder actually an asshole, or is that just Willy Wonka?
Did he actually kill all those kids? I'm just going to say, though, Ryan Gosling as a modern, older Willy Wonka outside of the Timothée Chalamet verse, I think would work. I think he could deliver the weird whimsy, the weird songs. I think he's believable. And yes, Gene Wilder did drown that kid in the chocolate lake.
Yeah, that was ad-libbed.
That was yeah. So actually, all the kid stuff in Willy Wonka was actually just they
If you
just
read
kept
the
rolling.
book, it's not even in there.
he fell in and he went up a tube, and they're like, "Oh my god!"
Listen, at some point in time, paying the legal fees was cheaper than doing the VFX. Okay,
They filmed it in that one
And-
strip of Yellowstone where no crimes can be charged.
and he just
They built a real factory.
Gene
in
Wilder was just
Yellowstone.
like,
Gene, you
can't
don't
shoot
have
this
to
in the
kill
US.
people every movie. I shot a kid with a shrink ray. We invented a shrink ray. Great. Gosling meter. Gauss meter.
Gazometer's not bad.
Gauzometer. The Ryan meter. The ryometer.
That's gonna be a hard sell to me.
I think gauss meter. I think what'd you say, Ryan? Was
Gazometer.
the gauzometer? Gauzometer sounds funny. I like that. We can do that. What do you think, Jace?
yeah. I didn't think
I
about
think
it
we're
at
gonna
all.
change
And
it by
honestly,
episode 2 or 3.
I'm not thinking about it right now. It's kind of like bats in a dusty cave. You know?
It's nice to know you're just as invested in this as the audience. He's the audience surrogate. Great. Well, I think we can get into the movie. I think we've established a fiction, and we can start talking about this fiction, which is a movie.
Yeah.
Jace, you picked Ryan Gosling. You picked this movie. Do you want to talk about why you picked and the synopsis, perhaps?
Ryan Gosling, hot. Popular right now.
Okay.
Canadian man.
Yeah.
Cool guy. And I like La La Land.
That's why introduce
use
more
many
words? Like, yeah.
Many words to trick.
Like Cosman.
Simple man, simple story.
I don't
be
know why
like.
I'm on one today. I'm actually like an idiot. Yeah, it felt like the right time. It felt like an actor with
Yeah.
a lot of really good movies. And then maybe movies that I was hoping would be bad that I've never heard of. I did watch Barbie a few months ago, and I wasn't really thinking about Oscar season, but I know that award season is kind of coming to a head. So, no, I'd be lying if I said I thought about that at all. I was like, Ryan
I was
Gosling.
like, damn.
Well,
He's
Jace
into the award schedule. He's come
forecasts
so
every
far
year.
over the last 10 seasons.
He's like, I really think Saltburn should have won cinematography or at least been nominated this year. No, that's fair, Jason. I think it was kind of like you feel kind of this Gosling energy in the air. He is still a buzzy actor. He's been on such a hot streak for the past decade, culminating into this huge movie with an iconic role. So I do think it's a good time, and I think we're gonna, the media tide is gonna lift our boat a little bit. So we need to really deliver for folks at home here. Go ahead.
The Notebook, I had never seen The Notebook.
Oh,
In fact, I
Still
did not
haven't.
realize that the majority of this book or this movie was set in the 1950s.
is it 40s?
Yeah.
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 30s, even.
30s,
Let's go.
40s,
47.
50s.
Let's just be correct, Jace. That's just all I'm
2010s.
saying. We got.
He was likely deployed in 1943, right? And then he saw her 7 years later, which would have been 1970 or 1950. It would have been 2003. Okay.
all right.
So I didn't know that at all. I
Okay,
didn't
yeah.
know. I think I saw the "What do you want" meme like a month ago for the first time ever, and I didn't know it was from this. Anyway, The Notebook is a really beautiful story about a couple and them becoming a couple, and then dementia. And
God. Jeez, come on.
Throwing that out.
Jesus.
that's a major point of the
Okay,
story.
it is. You're right. You're right. It is.
This movie is retold through Ryan Gosling's aged characters
Oh, spoilers.
retelling. I'm not fucking A. I don't know.
Sorry, I'm just
It's
criticizing
not a
you. Just go
spoiler. You
ahead.
see
No,
it coming a mile away. It's the premise of the
Yeah.
plot is not spoiler.
It shocked me, Ryan. It shocked me to my core.
Rich girl, poor boy, asshole dad, war, and then cheating on your fiance. Okay, that's what this movie's about. And now let's talk about it.
Yeah, Jace, it's funny 'cause when you texted us about like I didn't know this movie was in like the 40s. I thought like you had seen the whole movie and watched the whole World War II sequence. You're like, oh, what the fuck? Wait,
Iraq looks
whoa.
way different.
Damn, they
Why do
really
they have
like
these old
jazz.
ass cars? It must be in Mississippi or something.
Bunch of fucking hipsters. But yeah, like this, I didn't know that either, Jace, going in when I saw this the first time, and I think it kind of, it adds like a simplicity because it really seems like a a weird story that your grandma tells you, you know, when you're like, when it's like, oh, your grandpa threatened to throw himself in a wheat combine if I didn't go to the winter formal with him. And you're like, haha, yeah, grandma, wow, so romantic. But we open the movie with, I think, someone who's supposed to represent Ryan Gosling on the rowboat over the river in a gorgeous shot.
A sexy scene, a beautiful scene. Like,
It was
It lasts like
weirdly
4 minutes. as
Yeah,
well.
I was like, oh, the scene is set.
Well, okay, so yeah, it does that, and then the very next thing that happens is there's a voiceover with like this
Yeah.
old grizzled voice, and I was
I
like,
peed on
is this
myself.
another? I was like, is this another dog movie?
It's me again, the dog.
And it
Art of
sounded
Racing in the
exactly
Rain.
like the
It's
dog
Kevin
from Art of Racing in the
Costner.
Rain.
I peed on myself.
I remember when I used to live at that house.
See,
Before I got shot with the dog Ray.
I'm so glad we watched
like-
that
he's
movie
like-
just for this.
And then he's like, my name's Duke. And I was like, it is a dog movie.
Yeah, the voiceover with the he's kind of reminiscing about his life. He's like, no one will remember me when I'm gone, but I've loved someone with all my heart, and that's enough. And you're like,
Yeah,
all
exactly.
right. Yeah, that's I guess a dog, unless you're Balto. But yeah, like it opens with this older guy. He's what, like he's reading kind of a story to this older woman.
Yeah, and he
who's in-
totally gaslights this woman.
What does he do?
He says, my name is Duke.
Yeah, dude, she has Alzheimer's, man.
Yeah, but his name, he's her husband, and he's lying about who he is.
I mean, there's that whole thing with patients with dementia.
It's like
where-
50 First Dates.
Yeah. I mean, like you're supposed to kind of go along with their delusion. You can't be like, I'm your husband. Like, it can sometimes elicit kind of like a violent response sometimes because the confusion and all. Like, I've kind of been there with, because my grandparents had dementia, and so it can be a tricky situation. Like just with you can't like shake her by the shoulder. No, I'm Noah.
Yeah, well, that comes to a head
Yeah,
later.
that-
They apparently did think that was the proper way to do it.
That's why I want to make sure you know it wasn't a typo when I said
Yeah.
the Notebook techniques in escalation with dementia patients.
Yeah, they did. They did not.
It was like
they did not.
That's not how you do that. Like, get her in the chair.
Yeah, it was bad. And like people have commented too how it's not a very accurate description either, because she's like pretty lucid the whole film. It's just that she doesn't remember like this one thing. You get to the introduction, right? An introduction of the love story in 1940. You see Gosling looking like a little boy. This guy, he looks like he's 14.
So that's one thing I didn't realize. Well, when I was watching this, I was like, I didn't realize that he was like 16 when they made this movie.
Yeah, how old was he?
They did a really good job
Yeah.
somehow of de-aging him. Maybe just through his outfit, or like they made
Yeah.
sure he was like oily and acne looking or something. But like
I feel like they
by the end of the
de-chinned
movie,
him.
he looked 15. Yeah, maybe they had clothespins like in the back of his head.
They stretched his skin. I think they use CGI de-aging like in The Irishman to make him
Totally.
look younger. I'm looking it up. Right, he was 24 when the movie
Yeah.
came out, so he's
But
probably
he
like
looked-
20.
He
looked like a boy.
30s
You're right.
by
yeah.
the end too. That was a really good job.
Yeah. And it's shocking to see them, both him and Rachel McAdams, and even James Marsden looking just so. I mean, that's how time works. But I was like, oh my god,
Yeah.
Ryan Gosling looking like a little paper boy, where he's like, oh gee, here I am at the park, and what does he do? He sees Rachel McAdams, Allie,
And
then he
as the old
starts-
times were, you just walk up and kind of declare possession of her.
yeah. Hey there, miss.
I know you're with 5 other guys, but I'd like to go on a date with you.
Listen, see, I'm gonna jump on here this Ferris wheel. Yeah, like, and honestly, I mean, one, obviously, there's been a lot of talk about this. Big ick. It's not great, but it also feels realistic for the time. Honestly, like I've heard
Yeah.
a million stories like this from like older people when they talk about this, and I'm just like, holy fuck, courting was just a terrible thing back then. But also it's Ryan Gosling. You know, I can't really stay mad at him in this movie. But this was kind of his big start too. Like he was in Young Hercules, which I feel like is worth a Google if people haven't seen the images from that. But this was the movie that took things off for him. And that director, Nicholas Winding Refn, from Drive. He said he casted Ryan just from seeing this movie. He watched his performance in this, and I think this is what kind of was like part of his big reel. There's big fucking performances in this movie with him.
What in the fuck as a director makes you watch a movie from 2004 when your movie's coming out in 2011? You're like, I watched The Notebook, Ryan, and I need you in this movie. It's like, that was 6 years ago. What are you talking about?
I saw you drive that rowboat, and I feel like you could do it good with a car.
Well, okay. Imagine Drive, but with like Channing Tatum instead.
Oh God,
It wouldn't work. So I kind of get it though, right?
Yeah, like you need someone who's going to stare off into space awkwardly,
Right.
and also bring that weird energy into the relationship.
Yeah, and I think the scene in this movie of him working on the house for like a half an hour,
I liked that scene,
get it.
man.
it's
I
kind of
like.
the same vibe.
I got it. But yeah, I mean, Ryan Gosling, to kind of get back into the story beats, he convinces Allie, I guess, to go out with him after threatening to jump off a Ferris wheel in a terrifying
He's
scene.
got strong hands, too. Let's be clear, because
Yeah, good grip strength. He works as a
Swinging
lumberman.
an axe.
he was
Yeah.
like, I'm going to fall. Just kidding. I could hug there for another 10 minutes.
Like, I don't know how he got down either, to be clear.
I thought when in my memory of this, the
Yeah.
Ferris wheel kept going, but
Right,
the
and
Ferris
it-
wheel didn't.
That's the worst thing you could do to somebody who's hanging off a Ferris wheel, too.
No, you
is
needed to keep going. So
Yeah.
you can
Yeah,
get down.
You just wait till he gets, and they're like, "Hey, get off that Ferris wheel!" And he's like at the top.
I'm not turning it on until you come down. Like, I can't get down.
I'm gonna fucking kill this kid. I'm tired of his bullshit. Yeah, and then they eventually go on the date, and there's this long, continuous shot where it's just the two of them walking. And honestly, like this is where I was like, I turned to Amber. I'm like, this chemistry is hot. Okay, it is fucking electric between these two.
Yeah, that was a great scene when they're walking in the street and then they lay down in the street and stuff. I really liked that. That was a lot of it was shot in anamorphic and it was really, really gorgeous. I thought I actually thought most of this movie was shot really well.
It looked good, dude. It looked good.
The use of color in like the 1940s and at night is like really interesting because there's a stoplight
Yeah.
above them, but all their clothes are pretty, mild toned, and the buildings don't have like big electric signs. So there's very limited light, and I thought they did a really great job of lighting that scene too, and it felt like they were the only two people in the world.
It looked, yeah, I agree, and the vibe was amazing. You get that scene. I feel like people mimic this, where it's like they're slow dancing to no music, and it's quirky and it's awkward. And I feel like this is kind of the proto twee kind of thing that kind of comes afterwards. But like, did you guys read in the trivia about kind of like Ryan Gosling and Rachel McAdams kind of
No.
relationship? at
Dating
this
after
point?
this?
They were dating after this. I heard, and this is kind of famous, they fucking hated each other during the filming of this movie. Like, the director was like, they would get into shouting matches where Ryan would be like, I'm fucking out of here. He's like, I can't work with this. Like, he would actually really criticize Rachel McAdams' acting, which is surprising because I think she's very good at this. But he's like, I'm getting nothing from this. This is fucking. And then she would kind of go after him for the same things. And they kind of had a story about where they were like, we can't continue working like this. Ryan Gosling is trying to get her replaced in the movie.
To be entirely honest, that's probably my major. That's funny that you say this because my major criticism of the movie is that I think the acting is kind of flat. I think the best line and the best performance given was by, I think maybe her name's Margaret, the widow from the town.
Oh gosh,
Like after
Marsha or something.
Much later in the
Martha or
movie
something?
now.
Yeah.
But we get a scene where she goes and she meets Allie for the first time, and she's like, "Oh, he's told me a lot about you." She ends up leaving, and she's like, "For the first time since my husband died, I finally know what I'm like looking for." And like we're an hour and a half into the movie at this point, and that line gets delivered. And I think that might have been a clapping moment. I was like, "Holy shit, some good acting!" Oh, thank God.
That's interesting. You didn't like the acting in this. Well, to each his own. I agree though. The widow character, she did a really good job. It was fucking heartbreaking to see in this movie. I also think Noah's dad, I think he chewed the fuck out of the scenery in that scene where he's like reading Walt Whitman and he's like, "Oh, how's it go? And I think he was delivering so hard in this. Amber and I were like, this is good.
The Ryan Gosling's dad is a classic like country dad where you can tell he's going to be a good influence on the main character.
Yeah.
There was no like subtle like, oh, is he, like abusive?
Right.
Is this gonna be like a, To Kill a Mockingbird situation where he just beats the kids all the time? Because like it's in the South, and you don't know whether like what type of angle they're going for when they introduce a rural poor character's father, because that's a kind of a trope. Is like he's a bad influence, or he's a drunk, or he's abusive. In this movie, the actor did such a good job of portraying goodness from like the very first thing. They're reading poetry.
Yeah.
So, and then he talks about, I mean, the classic country dad is like giving his son a hard time about hanging out with a girl.
He's taking a
Oh,
piss, yeah.
she's prettier than you let on. And Ryan Gosling be like, Dad.
Yeah. I
It's so
liked that
cute.
scene. Yeah, with all of them together. Contrast that with Allie's dad. I audibly laughed when I saw
The
him.
mustache.
Yeah. I said, Mr. Monopoly Man.
I'm Alfred P. Pennypincher, and I do not approve of this marriage. Like he's like in a fucking silken robe while smoking a cigar. Like
He scared me too. He's just like, you're getting friendly with that boy, see? And like, that was really creepy. And then he starts laughing. He's like sitting on the porch at night by himself. And he's like,
It's because he was thinking about killing him. It's like, I'm gonna hunt that kid.
like he has 3 lines. It's like that, and then the weird Pope and the Bishop joke he tells later, and that's like, I think that's it. But it's you realize the class difference between the two. This is the star-crossed lovers thing. This is like the Capulets and the Montagues. He's too poor. He makes 40 cents an hour.
Everyone's like, oh, fuck.
that's less than we pay our workers.
3 people vomited when he said that. I also like how there was no recovery. There wasn't even one guy at the table being like, "Oh, well, that's a living," Like
Yeah, and
just-
they weren't like, oh man, I'll get you a job. You really like our daughter?
yeah.
Let's work. Let's give you opportunity. They were just
Right,
like,
right.
my money's mine. You come from dirt. You are dirt.
Yeah.
Like you cannot rise above your station. It was very like kind of they're dirty and they can't be cleaned.
They literally said he's trash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, if my daughter brought to the table this dude who is like absolutely shredded and handsome, super respectful, reads poetry, and he's like, I chop wood for a living, and I don't do
I don't have
anything
many
bad.
means, but I do my
Yeah.
best. I'd be
Like,
like, let's maybe give this
Great.
guy some building
Oh,
blocks.
you're gonna suck my wealth out of me, you freak! Get away
Oh,
from my
God.
daughter.
And he's even like, I don't need much.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, oh,
Someone who doesn't need much.
Clarence, get my puking cup. Yeah, it's and Ryan, I this is the part that kind of reminds me, because we kind of get into the first like lovemaking scene in this movie. You watch this on the plane, and I don't know about you, like
Yeah.
when I watch something, even if they're the much like a tame kissing scene, I feel like everyone is looking at me to see if I'm around.
Yeah, we were. I was looking over my shoulders, and what makes it kind of worse is that what me and Julie do is that we sync our screens.
Oh, I didn't know you could. Okay. Oh yeah, you right.
So like we both play it at the same time. So there's double the real estate.
Okay.
There's 4 naked bodies on at any one time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was on one of those big planes that like there's 3 seats on either side and then 4 seats in the middle.
Perfect.
So like we had maximum exposure.
You had like 40 people behind you.
But
who
I was
could
trying
see
to
it.
I was making light of it. I was making
You were
fun
talking?
of Ryan Gosling's boxers being the world's longest boxers. Did you guys notice that?
They're Adidas
thought
shorts.
They're underpants, brother.
I thought
it
he
was
was
a different
just,
time.
Yeah, he's like wearing extra pants. And then there's a scene when they're taking off their underwear. They're kind of like standing on the opposite ends of the room and like exhibiting themselves to each other.
Yeah.
One piece of clothing at a time. And there's a hilarious part where Ryan Gosling goes down to take his underwear off and he pops completely under the screen. The screen stays put. And he comes back up into frame, implying he took his underwear off. And then Rachel McAdams does the same thing. But she's down out of frame for like 2 or 3 seconds. And it would have been so funny if like Ryan Gosling popped back up in the screen instead of her. I'm just thinking about things like that. And so like I was laughing during it.
Yeah.
I was having a good time, eating my snackies.
So you were commenting to diffuse the tension.
Yeah. And then when they were rolling around on the ground talking about it being weird,
Yeah.
I was like, covering Julie's eyes. And
yeah,
like
you're nice.
you
Nice,
break the tension. I've seen
You
enough
break-
sex scenes with people in the room,
My usual tactic is dead silence,
Oh.
staring at the screen and not motionless.
And
You don't
whispering
say
under your breath.
boing.
Boing. Oh, heyo. I've been kicked off many planes. Yeah, like it's funny that scene too. It's like you really realize how young and inexperienced they are too, because they look at each other and they're fucking terrified. Like, and they just kind of undress and they just stare at each, and you're just kind of like, oh my god, these guys are just kids. And I don't know. I think that scene was good.
Yeah, especially when she says, like, you have to walk me through this. Like, that was
he's
really interesting. He's like, I don't know what to do.
Because he seems like such like a man up until this point. And you see all the walls kind of come down. And then, well, what happens?
And if they would have just tried to boink a little bit earlier in the night and kept track of time, maybe the rest of the story wouldn't have happened. But
They
got walked in on.
Yeah.
Well, they got walked in on by Ryan Gosling's friend, who alerted to them to the fact that the authorities had been called because they were missing. And her parents say, you're not going to see that boy no more.
They break up all sad like, but then they don't really break up because they fight all
And
the
then
time.
the hero of this story is introduced.
The United States
James
military?
Marsden.
James Marsden.
got
Okay,
it.
yeah,
Got it,
James
got it, got it.
Marsden. Yes. Yeah, the main character.
She meets a war hero when she's a nurse.
Is he a hero? I mean,
Yeah, he got blown to smithereens. He was in a full body cast. It was hilarious.
He could have done that to himself.
Also,
how do you know that happened in the war?
Probably got the
He
shit
showed up
beat out
like
of him
that.
for being rich. He was like, why don't you guys go die in the trenches? I don't want to. I own a cotton conglomerate.
Did you
My
guys
lawn
also
chair exploded.
have you guys seen Jury Duty?
Yeah.
I have not.
I couldn't stop laughing when James Marsden showed up. I was like, it's
Yeah,
that guy from Jury Duty.
James Marsden has often talked about how he's always the other man in movies. You see, yeah, he's blown to smithereens. Allie's taking care of him. This has been years later in World War II. And they end up together. And they have a nice, like, solid relationship.
He's rich AF.
He's fucking rich. He's so handsome that he looks evil, too. Like, he looks like the devil.
And
like,
he's a really nice person.
Yeah, and then so there's this whole thing about, they're getting married and it's going to be this huge thing because they're two super powerful families. And then, she still has her summer love from freaking 10 years ago. And so she runs back to Ryan Gosling's town.
there is completely understandable.
And whatever. That's like fine. But then the end of the movie comes around after what the expected happens. And because we can just finish Lon's plotline real quick. And Lon finds out. Lon finds out, which is James Marsden.
Yeah.
And he goes to the town and he's like, you know what? I forgive you. Like, I love you so much.
Yeah.
Like,
He's like, let's make this work.
anything else than forgiving you doesn't end up with me and you together. So I want you to do what you want to do, but in the end, I just want to be with you. So
that doesn't end up with us together either. So I'm sorry, Lon.
yeah. So he was actually like, he didn't do anything wrong. He didn't do he was never an asshole that pushed her away. Like normally in these rom-coms, you would have some like city guy who was detached or like was kind of a jerk and was like, it doesn't matter what you want. I'm preventing a good life for you, kind of a thing. But he was never like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think movies like this where there's an other guy, it works better when he's a good guy. Like, if there's conflict, right? Like, you're not going to be like, oh, she's going to leave that guy. He's a dickhead. But, like, when he's just as nice, you're like, oh, fuck. Like, she's really in a pickle right now.
Yeah, but then that puts
the
audience in a weird position of like, she's the bad guy.
Yeah. Like, how more realistic... She goes to his work.
Yeah.
And it says to him, I don't paint anymore. I used to love it. I used to do it all the time. And he's like, okay, let's get that going again. You should do that. And then she's like,
no, it's a metaphor.
They did not have the chemistry. I don't think she was as in love with him.
That's fair.
And once she finds out, she sees the newspaper and faints when she sees Ryan Gosling fixed up the home. He's fucking shreddy.
Sexy
from
with the
rowing
beard.
every day with a beard. Come back from World War II. And then she finds out also her mom hid the letters.
Mm-hmm.
That was huge, yeah.
He wrote to her every day. And then there's that scene. It's the front cover of the movie. All right. They're in the rain together. And she's like, why didn't you write to me? And he says, it's never over. It's still not over. I wrote you every day. And then they kiss. And it's the hottest fucking scene I think I've ever seen.
So then they embrace and they make their way upstairs. Takes a very long time, especially if you're on a plane surrounded by a bunch of people who can see what you're watching.
Yeah.
And then Rachel McAdams lays down on the bed and he pulls her leg up and puts it like by his face.
Yeah.
And I was like, is he gonna suck her toes?
Oh, please. Oh, please.
I thought that too. I was like, oh shit.
I was like,
Wait.
damn!
This shit's getting kinky
This went
fast.
to smut.
Like,
It just happened in
It
the
was a relief
1940s.
when he was just taking her underwear off. Like,
yeah, imagine if that was the move. You see like a pretty like vanilla romance, and then immediately goes into the toe sucking.
just slurps it like a popsicle in August.
The producers are like, I love the movie. Just one note. Just
Hey, what did you think about that scene? Rachel and I were talking last night, and we just thought that.
we thought this had to be in there.
Yeah.
And then imagine Ryan Gosling's like known for the rest of his career as that dude.
For the foot guy. It definitely was. And I feel like the director at one point probably had that thought where he's like, you think people are going to think he's going to... No.
We paused for way too long.
Fine.
Right
I think
there.
I think it's fine. I think it's fine. No one's going to think that's 2004.
I wonder
no one
if
even
it
knows
was,
about that.
I wonder if it was something where like they were getting 2 shots in one, because sometimes like in the editing bay you can just take one continuous shot and piece it kind of together.
Is there wasn't foot stuff in 2004, like as far as the wide cultural consciousness.
2004 or in the 40s?
Well, I think when the movie came out, I feel like foot fetish was not like a thing that was like mainstream. Like the people like understood it, right? Like nowadays everyone knows about like foot fetishists.
Yeah.
But, like back then, I
Feet
feel like
pics.
that was like
You had to be like in the
No
yeah,
free
in the
feet.
scene.
you had to be in the scene.
Yeah.
in the feet scene. To talk about Noah's house that he fixes up for Allie. I mean, he was getting offers of $50,000. Jace, did you look this up? I know you often. Look
$900,000 in today's currency.
Holy
In
fuck! This
US
guy could
dollars.
be flipping houses for a living, dude. Like this guy is on some shit. He turns it down just for Allie.
Yeah. Like how they portrayed him here, because he was obviously very troubled. And I know they only they like put, they mentioned him getting piss drunk for 10 days, and
Yeah.
for a good majority of the scenes in the second half of the movie, he's like got a beer bottle with him. But, you're shown an unhealthy person that got back from war, and it's like probably maybe not taking care of themselves and threatening people who want to buy his house. And it's like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm into it.
Yeah, I think it's good. And you bring up a good point, because I forgot about, like, he probably has PTSD. He watched Finn get
His friend died,
blown
yeah.
up in front of him. Yeah. He's probably not doing good. But his look at this point, too, is exactly like 2010's indie boy Twee, I feel. Like, where he's wearing the overalls with the baggy T-shirt with the beard. Like, he looks like he's part of Mumford & Sons at this point. And I feel like someone saw this and they were like, I'm going to do this for, like, 10 years. I'm going to do this look from this movie.
I was just in Bend, Oregon, man. It's still going.
It's still going. Yeah. It's the only way they keep warm is the beard and the hair. At some point. Oh yeah, Jason.
Another sad note, when his dad just had to die.
Oh fuck, man, his dad.
His dad sells his childhood home so that Ryan can buy the house that he always wanted with the GI Bill, fix it up, and then they're like, and 1 year later in November, he died. It's like, he was healthy. What
the fuck? He stepped on a nail. We don't have drugs out here. What if he just fell down the stairs?
Alligator got him.
That life in the South.
He was presumed dead, but they later found he was in the bottom of that well for 68 days.
It's in the newspaper. Allie's read. Like, it's actually underneath the article where like man fixes up house. Father found at the bottom of a well eaten by gators, and I think that's. She's like, oh wow. At some point, when Allie's kind of living there for like a week with Noah, her mom shows up. And she kind of catches her. Allie's
That's the
kind
best
of
part
in
of the
like
movie.
a robe, right? Yeah. And the mom takes her on a ride to go see her unrequited
Yeah.
love. Fuck.
To go see the dad from One Tree Hill.
Is that who that is? But you see this guy shoveling coal, and she's like, you see that guy over there? He doesn't look like much. But 25 years ago, he was really something. And she starts, but like, what I think is kind of funny is that she's in this like $1 million blue car, like 100 feet
Watching
away from the... She's like, I come here sometimes, and he doesn't notice me watching him.
And he immediately notices her this time. So
He's like, who the fuck is in that car? Jesus Christ. It's like someone rolled up to you in like a Bugatti, and you're in like an open field, and you're like, who's in that Bugatti?
yeah. Well, also
that-
like I was listening to some episode or editing something that we did not too long ago. And I remember I was like, hold on, someone just is driving slowly by my house. And I was like leaning back and staring at them. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
And
kind
you
of
could-
funny. And like, I guess the implication was that he knows that she does it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I think
and that's
so.
kind of, I don't know, it's kind of hot.
He looks and he sees her, and then at that point, like, the mom breaks down. Like, her facade is done because she was like, I wanted to prove a point that I'm like totally over this and have a better life, and she just starts sobbing.
I'm not.
No, I think it's the opposite. I think the reason she was doing this and saying like, look, I know, don't make the wrong choice. Is what
I
she said
see.
right before that. Like, she's like, I want to let you know before you don't know everything, kind of a thing. And there's actually a scene in Friends that's very similar, right? Where Jennifer Aniston's mom says like, you know, I did the same thing as you. Like, don't marry that guy, kind of a thing. And that was kind of funny.
That's I was going either way on that because I was wondering if the mom, like, she just kind of went through that, and at the end where she was like, all right, so just marry that rich guy, okay? Just remember what I showed you.
No, because she's
So,
like,
yeah.
she's like, I want you to remember I love your father. And she starts crying. And I think the implication is like, she doesn't really like his father or her father, but like really wish she ended up with this guy.
It's not too late, Allie's mom.
Yeah.
You're probably like
Just do
150 by now, but you could. Yeah, that was sad. It's sad as fuck. And she gives her the letters, and then you get the famous scene at this point, the "What do you want" scene. I think that's like endlessly quoted. I think this is I don't know about Jace, but like I liked Ryan's performance in this scene.
Mm-hmm.
He's so intense. They're just I like Ryan in this podcast, but I also like Ryan Gosling in this movie. There was like a Toro. This is random, but like there's a Toro y Moi song that came out like 10 years ago that sampled this entire scene. It's like 2 minutes of the song, like halfway through. And I remember hearing it back then, and I was like, this shit is fucking hard. And I heard this scene over and over 10 years ago. I'd listen to it like tons of times, and I have this scene like almost memorized because of it. And seeing it live, I was like, this is a good scene. I like this scene.
I think for me, a lot of the problem is I don't remember the dialogue. I actually didn't think like the romantic dialogue between, or quote romantic dialogue between them was that memorable, or like it might have been realistic, but I don't think it was that great because
If you're a bird, I'm a bird.
yeah, but exactly. But he
Would
was
you love
kind of
me
just
if
like
I was a worm?
yeah, exactly. He was
You're a
like,
worm,
yeah,
I'm a
whatever.
worm.
What do you want me to say? Okay, if you're a worm, if you're a bird, I'll do whatever you want me to do.
I think there's a lot of good lines. There's some clunkers in here. I'll admit. What else? You get to the end, right?
Yeah. So the whole time we covered it. The whole time, older Noah is reading this book to older Allie, who doesn't remember. She's enraptured in the story, and then we get to the point where the decision point, the go back with Lon or come back with Noah, and then future Allie's like, well, what happened? And she comes to the realization. She looks at him for the first time. She says, you're Noah. And we have the first kind of lucid moment of realization that I think I really enjoyed because you get like a really heart-wrenching 10 minutes of seeing them together and like depicting this relationship with Alzheimer's or dementia. And then you see that the notebook was written by Allie. And it's like, please reread this story to me from my perspective so that I will remember. And it's like, fuck.
Gut punch.
Yeah.
Like in those scenes, it's like in some ways it's like watching a horror movie. Like it's terrifying, but it's sweet. But it's like it forces you to confront your own relationships and imagining getting old and like what you want towards the end of your life, like what could happen. And it's seeing this depiction of, you know, someone with dementia and, you know, this devotion of Noah's character, like, holy fuck. It really tears your heart out, especially if you've seen this, you know, or have heard of this in real life, because it does happen a lot. Yeah, I mean, you get the scene where Noah tries to, I think he's kind of in denial, right? He's trying to kind of pull her out and get her to remember him. Mm-hmm. He sets up the dinner, and then it's just really sad. They're like dancing. They sedate her, like what we were talking about earlier in a scene where it's
Forcibly
kind of like,
sedate her after she has one, you know, like she's like, oh
Lapse,
man,
yeah.
you're kind of acting kind of weird.
Why'd
And
you
they're like,
call me sweetheart?
beat the shit out of her.
They were a little intense.
Please, Grandma.
You know what's gonna make me calm down is like 5 doctors
How
rushing
many
and be like,
times do we have to teach you this lesson?
And seeing Noah's face, like when that happened, oh my God, that was so sad. And then Noah gets a heart attack.
And they both kind of just die.
They die together,
They die
dude,
together.
holding each other in each other's arms, man. Holy fuck. I cried my fucking eyes out
I didn't.
seeing this movie.
I
Oh
didn't
my
cry
God.
at all. I'm so tough
Yeah,
and cool.
yeah.
I got sad, but I didn't cry. It
The first time I saw this, like 10 years ago, I was like inconsolable for like an hour. Like I could not even function. It was so sad. And like it ends with these birds flying over a beautiful river. It like
If you're a bird, I'm a
symbolizes
They're the
bird.
birds.
they're the birds, man. They turned into birds.
How did they do it?
They do it. Oh my, where'd they go? There's bird shit everywhere. Did you guys hear there was an alternate ending to this movie that like half the people saw?
What?
What?
Yeah, in the UK, Netflix UK, there was a big controversy, and HBO did it here in the US for a while, where they did an alternate cut where they cut out them dying together. Like it's just a scene of them, like Noah crawls into the bed with her, and he's like, "We had a good run, didn't we?" And she's like, "Yeah," and then it cuts to the birds. Like there's no there wasn't the scene where the nurse discovers them both dead in the bed together. Like I feel
kind
like
of nice. I thought the dead part was really weird. I thought that kind of
thought-
came tonally
That'd be
out of
traumatic.
nowhere.
I thought it was good. I liked the ending.
I liked it too. It
I think it was sweet.
it gave me closure, because
Yeah.
like the thing that I was fretting throughout the entirety of the movie is that in one, Noah told his children, he's like, my home is here with her, and
Oh
like
man.
her passing away or him passing away, they really made it the focal point in that last scene where she says, she was coming in and out of lucidity. She's like, I thought you were never coming back. And it was like, oh, they both feel the same way. The kids thing too, like the note there, like, oh, not your children, his children.
Yeah,
That
why
was-
did she say that?
Because that would lead
You don't wanna
to
confuse
you don't want to
them,
do
yeah.
that. You literally you have to let
don't
them
get
come
it.
to the yeah.
I'd be terrible at this. It's like hiding the truth from people.
800 times. These are your kids. Like,
But I don't. But the thing is like I don't know what lies to say and what not to say. If you told me lie to this old woman, I would just do it about everything. It's like, is it cantaloupe for lunch today? No.
You'd be Ben
honeydew!
Stiller from Waterboy.
Yeah, you just pulled landscaping duty.
Right. Well, you guys want to get into the gauze meter? Was it the
Gazometer.
the gauzometer?
Guzzleometer.
Sorry.
that would have been a good car meter too. How many
Fuck, the
gallons
guzzleometer.
how many gallons is this car guzzling?
God, that would have been good. Fuck. The other we mentioned, we forgot the Eminem in Mad Max. We didn't mention that in Mad Max.
It
I wish we
sounded
could
like
just
you
edit
made
it.
that up. I don't.
No, that's true. That was a today I learned. He was the initial casting. He got the first offer,
Oh.
and he asked for them to film it in Detroit, and they refused.
Well, okay, so he was like, "Yeah, okay, sure, I'll be in this a super realistic desert race movie if you film it in Detroit."
I feel like he could have delivered those lines. I'm Max. It's me. I remember someone did an impression of Eminem where they're like, "Scoffin' hoppin', hoppin' hoppin'." Something so funny. Okay, anyway, sorry. Let's go to Jace. This is your season. You start us off this time.
Oh shit. Crikey. So what we do, everyone, we have the Gauzometer, and we're gonna rate how Ryan Gosling, each one of these Ryan Gosling movies is.
Yes, it's true.
This is I think we had a good conversation a little bit earlier in the episode about what Ryan Gosling brings to the table. He's hitting on the weird kind of speech patterns. He's hitting on being the lead here, the yelling, but I don't have an own internal, refined, I think, palette of what Ryan Gosling brings. So I think I want to play it safe, and I want to give this movie like a 6 or a 7. I think
Okay.
like a 7. I think I'll go with a 7 because I think he brought it, and I think we're gonna see I'm gonna see a lot of elements in this movie that I'll see in the next ones, but I'm playing it safe.
7 Ryan heads. 7 Gauze heads.
7 Gosling gophers popping up out of gopher holes, so to speak.
Or we could do 7 baby geese, 7 goslings. You got a little troop of goslings, and there's
little
7.
Oh,
of
the
these.
fiction's fictioneer.
I guess it's Ryan now, right? Like it's.
I'm kind of on the same page. I don't know about this being a 10 out of 10. I'm thinking about my Gauzometer. I would probably need more quantity. He wasn't the number one. I don't think he rarely ever is, but like Rachel McAdams is an equal co-star, and there's also sections of the movie he's not in. His character is played by someone else also, and I think also I like to have key things that need to be in a movie. Like in the car season, we needed like a button to make it go faster, or like a final race. In this, I think I'm going to need like a nonverbal reaction that makes me laugh out loud.
Right.
I think he's really great at cutting tension, or like his comedic timing is actually really great. And I didn't see a lot of that in here. Some stuff was funny, but kind of like, oh, that's charming kind of way. Yeah, so I'm going to go with an 8. I think he loses a point, but for a couple of those things, but it's pretty high up. When you say Ryan Gosling, people are like, oh, like The Notebook. So I think a lot of other movies I'm going to kind of use this as the starting line and base them off of this movie rather than like come up with this weird fiction in my brain and establish this movie compared to that. So I think this is a good starting movie. We did a really good job starting with it.
I agree. Starting with this, because it's like, it's the breakout. This is the fucking thing that put him on the map. And it's the thing that people watch to cast him and shit. And I agree with Ryan on a lot of those points, and Jace. I'm going to go down my checklist a little bit. I do think he stares off into space a lot in this movie. That's going to be a checkaroonie for me. He's socially awkward. He doesn't have like a normal interaction with anybody in this movie besides his dad. He sings a little bit. There's a little jazz scatting. That's gonna count. He does a couple good screams in this. One of them is "Get in the Water." That was a good scream, and the other one was "What Do You Want." I liked both of those screams. That's gonna get 2 points from me. Unrequited love. It's requited. I think they end up together. They live a long, happy life together. Complete. All right. So I can't give him a point there. Shirtless scene, bingo. There's multiple shirtless scenes. He looks great. Doesn't take place in L.A. So I'm gonna dock a couple points here, but Ryan's right. He's not the star. This one he's like a co-pilot. They're sharing the seats in the front. And like you said, he's only in probably like a quarter of the movie time. I'm gonna give it like a fuck, man. I'm gonna give it like a 7. I think 7's a good number. This is definitely a Ryan Gosling feature. People think about this movie when they think about him.
I wasn't expecting that. I guess I was, but I wasn't.
Yeah.
So I think the only negative thing that I have to say, I've already gotten out, which is I didn't think that the acting of teenagers was stellar, but I couldn't really. This movie, I don't think was intended to be like a character study or something, but I don't really feel like the people were acting like a log cutter
Right.
from the South, or like a rich daughter, but very compelling story that I can't really say that I've seen a movie that's done exactly this. So it felt fresh. I thought the movie, again, like Ryan said, was shot really well. I really loved that opening scene. It kind of got me in like me in the rom mood.
Yeah.
The way that like deep red in the canoeing, and I was like, ooh,
Holy shit.
ooh. But pulled at the heartstrings. It left me wanting maybe something more or something less or a little bit differently done. I don't think this movie's I don't think it's bad. I think when I talk with someone about it in the future, I'll have good things to say, but it's kind of sitting at like a 7 for me also. Not blown out of the water. I don't think it's bad. I think it's better than mediocre or medium. It's,
Nice. And to be clear, this is the movie. I forgot. I don't know if we said it, but this is the movie meter separate from the gazometer. We're rating the movie now. And Jace, I think you bring up a lot of fair points. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I was thinking about the difference in my mind between a 5, a 6, and a 7. And it's hard to take a movie that's a 5 and like cohesively explain why it's different than a movie that's a 7 for me. I think mostly I put movies into categories. Absolute dog shit is like a 1 or a 2, and then there's like 3s and 4s are kind of similar. 5 through 7 is similar, and 8, 9, 10 is kind of just like how perfectly does it execute things. And this falls squarely in the middle, and I think my exact rating is going to depend a lot on my mood at the time and like my viewing experience. Great plane movie. I'm going to say that. Great plane movie. I don't need like great headphones or, awesome surround sound to enjoy this movie. And it was visual because what was happening on screen was important, but mostly because of the physical acting, not necessarily because of the, cinematography or the arrangement.
Special effects, man.
Yeah. The CGI fight on the International Space Station would have probably benefited from a bigger screen.
They shot a whole World War II fight.
The bomb scene where a bomb blows up under the two people and they go, whoa!
Yeah, I thought that's pretty funny. Ultimately, I think that this was the most Ryan Gosling movie. The most acting Ryan Gosling has done in a movie. So it's hard for me to dock the bad acting because I don't know. He tried. And I think Rachel McAdams did a really good job. It's just so hard to rate. I'm gonna go with a 6. I think I would give it a higher score, maybe a 7, if it wasn't so weird how they treated James Marsden. My poor guy. He never even got at least introduce him to Martha.
Oh,
you know? If the movie had dedicated 5 minutes to James sitting at the bar in Seabreeze and being down, just bullshitting with the bartender, and then Martha comes in and sits on the seat next to him. That would have been...
He's too poor.
Yeah. Yes.
I would have been like, oh, man, that's awesome. Good for them. But, there's a lot of loose ends. And in a movie that explicitly has a kind of epilogue where 2 old people die in each other's arms, so there's no loose ends, that left a weird taste in my mouth. So... yeah, 6 is very fair. People probably thought I would give this a lot lower than that, but I don't know. I like romantic movies. I have 2 romantic movies in my top 10 favorite movies ever. So, I just think a lot of things about romantic movies, you need the loose ends tied up.
Oh, that's hot. Yeah, Ryan, I was wondering what you'd give this because I was like, I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes he doesn't like movies like this, but maybe he liked this one.
I don't like rom-coms.
What's your top romance movies? What was the 2?
I say La La Land I really, really like. And then Portrait of a Lady on Fire.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, it's in my top 10.
Sweet. Okay. Well, yeah, I think we're rating it higher than I expected because, I'll be honest, guys, I love this movie.
What?
I fucking love this movie. I thought, I would hate this going in, years ago when I first watched it. But it, hit me like a freight train, man. You see, 2 old people in love, it already makes me cry. Just saying the word 2 old people in love makes me, choke up. And, seeing, the old couple, the scene from Up, the opening intro, I have to fast forward that because it just hits me too fucking hard. This movie is a stretched out version of that. Yes, it has its problems. Obviously, we've talked about the toxic aspects about Noah and Allie's relationship. It's fucking volatile, but it's also kind of hot between them, all right? Their chemistry really works. Okay, the action's in there. Okay, there's weird dynamics that I don't like in there. The way he comes onto her is super fucked up and weird. But I honestly, it feels kind of like this super hyper dramatized fantasy of a steamy romance you're reading in a novel or something. There's something totally smutty and melodramatic when you're going through. And I think that's why it's kind of working for me. It's kind of like you're watching an action movie. I feel like the scenes with them together are stunts. And I'm trying to see if the scene's going to pull, what's he going to say? Oh, he's going to say, if you're a bird, I'm a bird. Holy shit, I can't believe he said that in the scene. And it kind of worked for me. The ending, too, I think was effective. People have called this movie kind of it's too manipulative. It's very obviously trying to make you feel something. But I fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. This sucker has a 54 on Rotten Tomatoes, which is really shocking. I think it's one of the lowest Ryan Gosling movies. But I think it deserves better. I'm going to give it an 8. I really like this movie. I recognize its flaws, but I don't know. It fucking works, dog. If we did a Nicholas Sparks season, that'd be... I don't know. I think this would be the top. There's There's 20 Nicholas Sparks movies, isn't there?
Wait, this is a Nicholas Sparks movie?
Hell yeah. This is his magnum opus. Yeah, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 Nicholas Sparks movies. Including one with Kevin Costner, question mark, exclamation mark.
Oh no. Next week, baby.
There you have it, folks. We reviewed The Notebook. Let us know what you think about this movie. Subscribe to our podcast. Hey, have you guys reviewed our podcast yet? We're in a new season. We could use the reviews at this point. It's been a while since we had a freshie.
Got 14.
We got 14 reviews, and it'd be sweet if we can get 14,000 reviews. So send this around to your friends, please.
Can I buy those?
Yeah, see if you guys can give us a gift card for a farm of reviewers. That'd be also good too. But Ryan, you have the next pick for next week for our next thing for Gosling's Garden. What do you got for us?
Yeah, so we have the funny thing to do or the enjoyable thing to do.
Okay.
And
So the funny thing we have to do is pick an absolute shitter and just like cut Ryan off at the knees and say like, don't get too big of a head. This isn't just a everybody loves Ryan Gosling season.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, we got to
we could pick like, a couple episodes of Young Hercules
Oh,
or
God.
Nothing Too Good for a Cowboy or like really terrible movies from when he was a kid. Or we could just do like Blade Runner 2049.
It's your call, dog. I will see any Ryan Gosling movies. He's like one of my favorite actors.
I know. So like
I'm realizing,
and I know that Jace is going to eventually pick La La Land. So let's watch Blade Runner. Let's do it.
All right, let's do it.
I've got the week off. I just want to watch a good
Holy
movie.
Shit.
Have you seen that, Jace?
Yeah, I've seen Blade Runner.
I'm just wondering.
Folks, join us next week for Blade Runner 2049. Rent it on Amazon? ? I don't know. It's out there. Watch along with us.
Watch it on the Blu-ray DVD copy that you certainly have.
Yeah.
What do you want? What do you want? What?
God,
do you want?
we get a legendary
Tell us.
scream. We get a legendary
Oh yeah,
scream.
that's a
in
good
this movie.
screen. It is a good screen. Yeah. Do you guys want to end with a Gosling-ism?
Sure.
Where we try to generate a Ryan Gosling quote together? This seems like our podcast ender now. Like this is what we do now.
I think it's fun.
Jay, start us off. Do it. What do you want, Jace? What do you want? You said what?
Coupon.
Gets
Me
A
bucket
of
blow
pops
for
doll.
for doll.
take the high road and say ers.
Ers.
Why did you go to Pops?
What gets me a bucket of blow pops $4?
Comma. It's what gets me a bucket of blow. What coupon gets me a bucket of blow pops? Comma $4? Question mark. And it's the other 4. It's the number 4.
I like the idea that it's $4 dollars because Ryan Gosling has no understanding of what money is anymore because he's so rich.
It's a robot.
For dollars.
Will you guys use grapes? I haven't spent $1 since The Notebook.